Welcome to the Dream Life is Real Life podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Hermanson. I know it might seem cheesy or cliche, but if you've got a sleeping giant inside of you, or you just feel like you're made for more, then there's no coincidence you landed here on the Dream Life is Real Life podcast. Listen, as a girl from small town Wisconsin who decided to go all in to her dream life vision, I know how crazy it can feel to chase after wild ideas. Since leaving my 9-to-5 job in academics back in 2015 to becoming a yoga teacher, a life coach, and now a digital nomad, currently living in Merida, Mexico with my husband and Labradoodle, I know that all the cheesy cliches are true. I've watched a lot of my dream life become my real life right in front of my eyes. Oh, and I've learned a whole lot about sales, business, and marketing along the way, and I want to share all of that with you. So here, you can consider me your friend and mentor. As a certified business coach, success trainer, international speaker, author, and copywriter, I've helped hundreds of coaches and entrepreneurs build, scale, and enjoy their online businesses. So here on the show, you'll find the real people, concrete tactics, and weekly motivation and inspiration to make your dream life your real life. I'm going to let you into the nooks and crannies of these dream lives and dream businesses and offer lots of real talk along the way. Because to be a true leader in whatever you're endeavoring in your life and to create a legacy that you're proud of, you need a tribe lifting you up with you on the journey. And I've made it my mission to be that partner with you. Because after all, we are all in this together. By the way, if you'd like some help improving your business and life, then we just might be able to help. Head on over to dreamlifeisreallife.com to learn more about what we do and how I might be able to personally support you and just continue this conversation in making your dream life your real life. All right, let's get to it. Hey, today we are with Wendy Friesen, who is a worldwide leader in creating rapid change for life's difficult problems. Since 1994, her site, Wendy.com, and that's Wendy with an I, which I love, Wendy.com has influenced the lives of millions worldwide and brought insight, wisdom, and spiritual growth to people in need. She's often described by her colleagues as a powerful healer, teacher, and a creative marketing expert. And she also hears that she is one of the most loved transformational leaders in the world. And we are grateful that you are here today because she was a broke single mother of two with no resources, money, help, or partners. Yet she's created this transformational business and devoted her life to turning around and teaching others everything that she's learned along the way. So welcome and thanks for being here.
Yeah, cool. Great to meet you, Hannah.
Yes, and you're in the dream state of Hawaii. Is that right?
Yeah, I decided to pull up roots and go live my dream, which is living in Hawaii, and that's been a year ago now.
Wow, congratulations. I can relate. We did the same thing about over a year ago, pulling up our roots and coming to Merida, Mexico, and wow, what a catalyst for self-improvement.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Did you feel like it opened up a new era or a new part of you making that shift? I definitely did.
For
so I'm
sure.
Curious. Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a lot of courage to, even though this is still the US, it's like a different country. It takes a lot of courage to sell all your stuff. And as you know, for you moving into a different country, but that's what life is about. We want adventure. Some of us are really scared to seek adventure, but others are like me, willing to jump out and do things that are the unknown. And for the last 28 years, my bravery has served me the best in all business, personal, everything. It's like, jump in and do it. Let's see what happens.
Yes. And that bravery for me has felt and looked like insanity or craziness. So as you were saying that, I have to lovingly remember something my dad shared with me because I've done the same, like take the leap and figure out how the rest is going to go later. Because I do have a big vision, and I do know that getting out of my comfort zone and not necessarily having it all figured out, but just knowing that I'm ready for a next level has served me really well as well. So, but it doesn't feel like that. Like, if we can talk about that in hindsight, but day to day and year to year, sometimes you just feel like the black sheep or the crazy one. And I'm sure you've picked up a lot of tools, a lot of resources to help you navigate some of that discomfort, moving out of our comfort zone. So I would love to hear maybe some of your top insights on navigating that space between where you are and where you want to be. Start anywhere. Tell us some of your most useful tools.
In growing up, my dad definitely made all 5 of us be adventurers and subject us to situations not, kind of against our will, but we had to learn to be resourceful. And a lot of people are really protected and living a comfortable life, and they don't know if they're resourceful, and they have to find out that they are. So for me, the really big deal about my life, when things had been going pretty good, and then I got a divorce and I had 2 little kids. So I was a single mom, and I got depressed, and I had a retail business at the time, and it was just like every day was just the same, and I didn't enjoy life. And I would, after I took my kids to school, most of the time I just go home and lie down on the couch. And I know for those of you out there who know me, you don't know that about me, probably, that I was on that couch for months, but I still fed my kids. And mostly it was just fast food because I didn't even want to cook. So then I saw this ad to become a hypnotherapist, and it was 6 months long, and I didn't have any money, and it cost money. And she said, well, come anyway. And we worked something out. But I went to that thing for 6 months. It was 4 days a week. And it was amazing what happened to me. Even from the very first day, I had an experience that made me feel like there's something else out there that isn't just misery and fear. And what I learned after doing the class, then going to see clients, well, they came to my office. I had a little tiny office I shared with someone, but they came to see me, and they were having these big breakthroughs. And I was really new at this. And I was like, what on earth? But what I wanted to do was set some intention for creating some wealth, because I was like, the IRS guy would knock at my door of my house. Not kidding. Got any money for us? So I wanted to use the main tool that I love the most. Have you ever heard of using a future timeline to experience what's happening?
Timeline therapy. Yes. I've heard it as timeline therapy. Is that similar?
Right. Yeah. So what I did was I took myself to a year in the future. And at that year in the future, there were some blocks along the way as I traveled on that path. But when I got in that 1 year in the future, there were a lot of people who were there. They were very grateful for the work I'd done with them and what they had experienced. And I had a book that I had written, and I was like, I wrote a book, really? And people loved my book. And my business, this is kind of the short version, but my business had sold because I used to sell the CDs because we couldn't really cassette tapes. I sold cassette tapes because I couldn't really make CDs back then, but that I had sold $1 million in my cassettes in that year, having no idea how that could happen. But 1 year later, I had made $1,012,000 in the sales of those cassettes. I say, how did all the people in the world get together and do the math to make it come to that magic number? And then the other thing I had implanted, and this is so good for your listeners who want to get out of a rut and do something different, is that 1 year from then, I would open the door to my beautiful new house. And for me to think about buying a house would be difficult a year earlier, right? So in that same exact week, my house closed escrow and I opened the door to my beautiful house. And it was like 1 week to the same exact week. Mm-hmm. So it isn't manifesting. It's not using affirmations. It's not writing down your things. It's not a vision board. There's something much bigger and more important if you want any of those things to work. So I don't know if you teach people to use like vision boards and things like that. Is that part of your training?
I'm a fan. Yeah. It's not necessarily my core teaching, but I'm all about all the manifesting tools that I can leverage like that, affirmations, but also self-hypnosis and, listening to my future. I'm so happy that I'm doing this thing. And I'm into it all.
And so when you're rewarded for it, like me going 1 year into the future and feeling that massive reward of all these people I helped, it wasn't just the money, and you can't manifest the money. You manifest the experience. And for me to see that I had done something phenomenal for a lot of people, that was pretty cool. And so apparently I wrote a book. So I did start writing a book, but here's why. Back in the days, this was a long time ago. We only had AOL for internet back then, which doesn't really matter. But I got a lot of emails from men asking me for help with their sex life, or how to be more charismatic to get more sex, or sexual dysfunction. So they'd ask me about hypnosis for that. So when I'd reply to their emails, I just replied really long, then use that as a piece of the book. And there's all these chapters. It's about sex and hypnosis, and it's called Hypnotize Your Lover. And that was pretty exciting because I self-published it and people bought it. They still do. It's kind of a good topic.
Well, and I love that process for listeners, that you set the vision, you set the goal, and then you go and show up every single day as an observer of how it will unfold. And I definitely had this flipped around for a while, where it's like every day I have to make it happen, or I have to figure it out. And how many times have we heard the how will present itself? But it wasn't until I learned this idea of becoming the observer. How is this going to unfold? How is my webinar going to go? Where is that X amount of clientele going to come from? And it was so much more joyful because curiosity is attractive to the universe and to our, inner knowing. But what I'm hearing from you is that we can decide where we want to be 1 year from now, become an observer of how it unfolds, and become less attached to the day-to-day, I'm asking you your opinion on this, the day-to-day, I must write a book, I must do 10 chapters, I must effort this thing. Because what I'm hearing from you is that the universe or the people conspire, like you said, the world kind of lays out the red carpet if you can trust a little bit.
Yeah. And there's some things that are opportunities that you might turn down if you feel you're not resourceful enough. The emails that I would get from men, I didn't really want to talk about their sex lives or their penises or whatever problems they're having. But I thought, well, why not? Go ahead. You'll learn a lot about this. And obviously it's a topic that men need a lot of help with, and maybe hypnosis can help with that. And so that ended up being the book. And then I asked some other people to contribute, some other hypnotherapists, contribute their sex and hypnosis chapters, which was really good. And the book sold and sold and sold. So then what I didn't realize was going to happen, because it's a juicy topic, is my 12-year-old nephew built me a one-page website, because it was really hard to build a website back then. And only 12-year-olds apparently know how to do that.
They were born with a different skill set. They learned a different skill set quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just put 4 little icons on there, whatever. But one of them was about sex and hypnosis or something. So I got a call from the Queen Latifah show, which was a talk show at the time. And it was in New York. And because of that 12-year-old's website, they flew me out there, had a limo driver with a sign with my name on it, and stayed at a beautiful suite on Central Park, and a limo driver the next day, all that. Okay, don't blow it, Wendy. Act like this is just fine. And took me to the show. Now, here's the part about being brave and knowing that you are resourceful. I had a choice at a moment when we were getting ready to do the show. I had never been on TV. And I thought, I'm going to sit in a chair next to her desk. It's a talk show. I'm going to sit in a chair next to her desk and we're going to talk. I can do that. So I'm backstage. They're putting my mic on, doing this stuff. And I said, so exactly what are we supposed to talk about? And they said, oh, you know what to talk about. You've done this hundreds of times. I was like, nah. And so then they put me out on the stage, and Queen Latifah is in the audience on the very top row. There's 400 people in the audience. That's huge for a talk show. She's in the very top row holding my book. Mm-hmm. I'm on the stage alone. And the cameramen are making all these hand signals that I have no idea what they are, what's going to happen. And all of a sudden the show starts. And she says, blah, 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 our guest today, la, la, la. And she wrote this book, Hypnotize Your Lover. And she says you can even enlarge your breasts with hypnosis and stuff. During that 30 seconds, I had to decide if I was going to fall apart and cry for real, or run away or pass out, because I did not expect this at all. But I decided, the producer backstage said, you've done this 100 times before. So I said, I held my hands with my palms of my hands facing up. And I said, you have, to myself silently, I said, you have the audience in the palm of your hands. They're going to love every word you're going to say. You're going to be brilliant and fun, and just enjoy this. My heart just started beating again. Oh, I'm
having flashbacks to a high school musical audition, and that feeling. There was only 40 people in the audience, but that is one of the most fight or flight evoking moments that I can imagine.
And I had prepared myself by thinking, okay, the talk show, I'm going to be sitting there. I'll be interesting. And she'll ask me questions. Whew, that's weird. Those memories are so deep in our body. So anyway, it went great. She kept me on that stage for 45 minutes doing mostly just me. She only occasionally answered a question, but I just dug inside myself. I decided I am resourceful. I have more than enough to do this. And I made that happen in 10 seconds. And the show is actually on YouTube somewhere. But when I look at it, I think, how did I do that? From fear and, being shocked that I'm the only one on stage. And then I did that. But that resourcefulness, we don't know if we are, if you don't take a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there were lots of other options. Like you said, you could cry, you could leave, you could, throw a tantrum. And I think we as entrepreneurs get those opportunities in less spotlight moments, but every single day, every single month, how are we going to show up to this conversation with a potential client? How much are you going to allow yourself to earn this month? We have so many options as entrepreneurs. And when we allow ourselves to dig deep and say, I am resourceful, and kind of, test our self-esteem or give ourselves that opportunity to show up for ourselves, this is when I've seen exponential growth in my business, is when I just every day decide this is where we're going. I don't know how, even if it feels hard, I can do this. I'm going to, it's not every day. Some days I don't feel like digging deep, but I see immediate results from that reframe, from that, we're going to do it. We're going to lean in.
Yeah.
So,
and then if you do that, then you get a little prize, which is, that didn't suck. I actually did kind of a good job. They kept me on stage all the time. And then it gave me a little bit of bravery to do it again and again, and all these different shows that I got, which for most people would be terrifying. And it was for me the first time. And it was many times after that, but still, okay, I have this, I have the ability, I know this. And if you don't know yet, put yourselves in these scary opportunities to do this, because that's how you're going to find out. Now that fear is gone. Now you have a new skill or a new mindset, but putting yourself into that mindset first, go and experience it in your imagination as already having happened. If you can. In this case, I couldn't, because I didn't know that I'd be by myself, but put yourself in that moment. If you're going to give a speech to a big audience, imagine yourself, just feel it. You're running out onto the stage. Your smile is huge. You look at that audience and you're just like, yes, I got this. I don't know how, but I'm going to do an amazing job. Do something that isn't the fears and doubts from your childhood and from school and all those. just give yourself that chance to see and feel and experience it as if it's already happened. And that's where your brain stores it as a real event and a real emotional experience.
And I'm so inspired by the timeline idea, because you can move into the future. And so much of therapy, hypnotherapy, dealing with trauma asks us to go into our past, like our shadow side. And what you're sharing feels way more exciting to me, to go into the light, the potential, the best case scenario. So can you just do that? Go into the future? Or is there mandatory cleanup in the past when it comes to this sort of tool?
Yeah. After seeing clients for so many years, there is some trauma that you've got to deal with the trauma. You have to do something, and you probably don't want to do that on your own, just, trying to work through it. You need someone to guide you, keep you safe, and keep you present in what you're going through. And there's people who've had horrific lives that I cannot imagine that they came through it, but releasing that trauma, resolving it, is a really big part of it. And maybe you just have a bunch of fears from second grade or something like that. You can do that with that timeline, but you can also do a process of just imagining a screen in front of you, like a TV screen, and put all those negative things on that screen and look at the emotion that one holds, and the fear that one holds, and the injustice that one holds. Put them all on that screen and decide, okay, I'm learning my lesson from all of this. There's something bigger for me to learn as a result of all these experiences. And then have the screen get a little bit fuzzy, keep the experiences and the lessons, but have it get fuzzy, have it get smaller, and have it get smaller until it's just a speck, and then just let it be gone. You kept the lesson and the learning from it. And then create another screen that is the thing you do want. So there you are on this stage in London doing this amazing thing, and people are loving you, or you're at a book signing, or whatever your thing is, and have yourself with the emotional experience being like over the top. If you're at a book signing, imagining yourself like, wow, this is the best day of my life. And you get up and you dance around in your imagination, and you're going like, yes, I'll do this every day. Something that makes it impactful, not just like, okay, I'm here at a book signing. Add the emotion and the physicality and everything to it.
Yeah, like you said, we store that. Even you going back and reliving the show experience, like that really is wired into us. And so if we can start to leverage the energetic tools that we have, you said this isn't about manifestation, but I feel like this helps us get there faster. I feel like this wires us for success. Is that right?
Yeah, manifesting is great. It's important. But what if you still have all these holdbacks and these beliefs and unworthiness and failures, and you really deep down, your core identity is, I don't matter. Nobody sees me. Nobody wants me. And that was really my core identity, believe it or not. I was invisible in my life. And then I became a hypnotherapist, and oh my God. So I get from my little one-page website, I get an email from someone whose name was not identifiable by the email address or anything, and didn't leave a name. And it says, I want to learn to hypnotize women for sex. Money is no object. And I'm like, ew, come on. Nah. Well, this is where you've got to be brave, take an extra little step or two and find out. Just be curious. Like, write down, everybody, I will be curious. I should have deleted the email, and I was just going to delete it. And I thought, no, I want to find out what he wants and who he is. Money's no object. So I replied, and, he said, blah, blah, blah. And we replied a few times. And what I started realizing is he's looking for love. He wants to feel loved. He thinks if he can hypnotize women to have sex with him, they will make him feel loved. And that's not what's going to do it, because there's something else missing. And he was telling the truth that money is no object. He is part of the ruling family of Qatar at the time. He's probably not now. He's one of the wealthiest men in the world. Qatar is the richest oil country there is. He flew me to Europe. He met me in Europe, and we spent a week together doing therapy every day. It was magical and amazing. And we worked with his inner child, who was just this scared, hopeless inner child. And that's where he was coming from, with no confidence and all of his fears growing up. And you think, how could someone like that grow up with all these? But you do, but people do. So anyway, I took a chance and I was resourceful. I did the work, and it was amazing what we did together. And I could have deleted that email. So in your life, if you're listening, what is the equivalent of the things you're going to delete and walk away from without finding out if it's the opportunity? Because even if you do all your manifesting and you keep turning down opportunities because you think, ew, no. And everybody told me not to go to meet with them.
Yeah, I love that. I love bringing that air of curiosity to this, how is it going to unfold question, right? Becoming that observer. And I think that we second guess our gut a lot. There's so much conversation about your intuition and how does it feel? But I love this advice to just take it a couple steps, right? Open it up a little bit and then get enough data so that you can make a more, aligned or informed decision. Because I've definitely I've swung both ways where I'm say yes to everything, take it all on, go, go, go. And then where I've shut it down. So I think saying no to everything. So I think that's excellent steps. I think that's a great a nugget we can implement to just take it, open up the conversation a couple steps and lean into curiosity. Beautiful.
Right. And see where it takes you, because if you don't, what's going to happen? You're going to wonder and regret. And I think I've been pretty sturdy all my life because of the way that my dad raised all of us. So I at least have that. I know not everybody has that feeling of sturdiness that, you can be in some really weird situations and still be okay and be safe. But it just stuff like that just kept coming at me. I was flown to Cyprus a few years ago, and turned out I was working for the Russian mafia. I didn't know until I had a.
This is also how you know you've cracked a code, Wendy, right? When the world is this curious about something that you're sharing. I
know.
That's
so
really
I was working with their board of directors of this company in Cyprus, which is, the Russians go there because of the privacy and stuff. And then one of the night, my limo driver drove me home each evening, or to the hotel each evening. And I said, why do they whisk the people away so fast when they're going out the door? And he says, oh, well, the Russian mafia owns all these trading companies, Forex trading, and they try to kill each other's board of directors and especially their CEO. And I was like, what?
And you're out there trying to do therapy. That is exactly where they need it though, right? Heal the world.
But be brave, take chances, and know that you'll be a better, stronger person. And if you want to succeed, in addition to all the, vision boards, manifesting things you're doing, we have to have some real life stuff that you do, but you have to also get rid of the positive reason for wanting to fail. I don't know if you've ever heard about that, having a positive intention for being poor, helpless, or weak, or failing.
Yeah. I mean, it keeps you able to play small and stay where you are and feel bad for yourself and worry about small stuff, right?
Yeah. And it protects us. If we don't take the chance, I won't get hurt. I won't be scared. I won't fail. I won't be embarrassed. So there's usually a positive intention that also comes from something in your early life. So the way you want to do that is just take a moment to, you relax, you get your eyes closed, you breathe a few breaths, and you find that feeling that is the one that's stopping you. Just decide that, there's something there that's stopping me from going big, and find that feeling and notice where it is in your body. If it's big or small, if it's tight, does it have a color? And of course, this takes, a few minutes, but find that part and decide this is the part that wants me to, whatever your word is, fail or be depressed or to be scared or whatever. So whatever your issue is. And then you ask that part with a very open mind, what do you want? And then the part will tell you an answer. And no matter what it says, you say, thank you. And then you say, even deeper, what do you want? And you wait. Maybe that part shows you an image or tells you the answer. And you don't judge that part. You say, thank you. And then say, even deeper, one more level deeper, what do you really want? And the part will tell you what you want. And that might bring you tears. because you never knew that this agenda was hiding in your psyche. But it's a really nice way to find out. Once it's found out, it doesn't have power over you anymore. You know it, you know what it is. And one of the weird ones that came up for me about what was stopping me from creating some wealth or even enough money just to pay my freaking bills, the tax man, was that the voice from the part said, if you make more money than your father, he'll be devastated. Because somewhere in my mind, I had learned that the women in our family weren't supposed to make money, but the boys were. And that was made very clear, I guess, through time. But that was a big one. And to be able to clear that out was just huge. But that's the parts therapy. That's the very simplest description of parts therapy. And in my recorded programs, there's, no matter what your problem is, there's usually a parts therapy session to take you through that. If you don't find out what's fueling that part, you're going to have a lot of friction.
Yeah. Just keep repeating the same patterns over and over and wondering, why am I still stuck here? So I think that's a beautiful segue to where, people are resonating and they're thinking this might be, or this definitely is, the missing link for me to really unlock the version of myself and my business that I want. Where can people continue this conversation with you and pick up some of these tools for themselves?
There's a couple places. One is my main website is at wendy.com, and it's Wendy with an I.com. And there's a lot of free stuff there so that you can get started, without having to decide which direction to go. The other place is at my site that's at locals.com, and it's sleepwithme.locals.com. And that one, it's just kind of we're talking, we're doing things, people chat along the way, and it's a nice informal little meeting thing. But there's a lot of topics in there. They're all free. And there's some also audio sessions that are free, some hypnosis sessions and stuff. And that's been very helpful for a lot of people. You would be surprised at how easy it is to get over some of your crap when you're doing it with hypnosis. And then looking at how hard it is to do it by our logical, conscious thinking.
I can vouch for that. I have my own set of hypnosis tools and things that I use to help me sleep or nap or just process, like you said, some of these things that we keep running into. So
and pay attention to what you're telling yourself over and over. Because this is hypnosis. When you're telling yourself the same things, negative or positive, it doesn't mean if you're being a cheerleader and you're saying, yeah, I'm the greatest, that might not do it. But the negative things, like when I was, in my sitting on the couch or lying on the couch days and being depressed, I used to tell people all the time, I just can't put one foot in front of the other. I just can't take another step. And I said this to many people many times. And I was at a farmer's market by myself. I was going back to my car. And it happened. I said it to myself enough times. In the parking lot, my walking slowed down. And I stopped and I stood there, thought I have to get to my car. And that feeling, boy, that's still there. Wow. I have to get to my car. I don't know how I'm going to get to my car. I have to. And I couldn't take another step. What I had repeated over and over and over again manifested itself in my body as I was walking. And I did obviously eventually get to my car. But you got to be so careful what you're saying to yourself. And so in that situation, the better thing would have been, I'm going to feel better very soon. I just need a few more days to find what I need, but I will feel better. And so then at least you create that possibility. But I didn't know at that time what I was doing.
Yeah. Powerful, powerful stuff, Wendy. Thank you so much for sharing so much of your gift with us today. We'll make sure that listeners can find your gifts and check out the links that you shared in the show notes, because that's a wrap. That's what we have for this week. So listeners, I will be back next week with another inspiring guest that will help you make your dream life and business a reality. And don't forget to hop on over to dreamlifeisreallife.com/show for specific goodies that we talked about today and access to continue the conversation with these guests as well as myself. I cannot wait to see what you create. Until next time.